Go take a look at my review if you want to know
Which is very interesting.
If you want to know thank you. If you want to know my personal opinion, when I put myself back into it, I did not like it, and in part because you're right. I also am not a fan necessarily. I feel like I want to say that with a caveat because I do like the superhero movies, which are generally solving problems with violence. So, but I think the problem for me, part of the problem, one of the many problems for me with this movie was that, again, it changed direction, and then it went into this over-the-top, almost comical violence. And so then it starts to, I start to feel like, okay, well, the first half of this movie was pretty darn serious, and then, like, what just happened here? It's like the whole tone suddenly switched, and it becomes so over-the-top that I feel like I don't know what's happening here anymore. Like, what genre is this now? Because it almost goes from drama to comedy because it is so over-the-top that it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I love a good dark comedy. You know what I mean? Dark comedy is one thing. But just the subject matter of Three Billboards is enough to, like, put me off of it. It's like, this is a trailer. In the trailer, it's literally about a woman whose daughter was beaten and raped, and she feels the police are too busy, as she puts it, beating up black people to actually search for her daughter's killer. So, like, that's the story, and then we're supposed to be laughing through this whole trailer. To me, that's exploitative, and sometimes you do have to exploit things to find meaning and find purpose. But from what I've been told, I'm not hearing that that's what this movie is. What I will speak on are the two films of his that I have seen, which were In Bruges, which I saw the trailer for, and I thought it looked fantastic, and then it went under my radar somehow when it actually came out in theaters. That's probably because I was living in Florida. And then when it came out on DVD, I rented it, very excited, watched it. 40 minutes in, I couldn't have been less interested. But I trudged through, and by the end, I was like, well, that was pointless. And then a couple years later, Seven Psychopaths, I had moved out to California. Seven Psychopaths came out, and I saw Tom Waits was in it. And that's all I needed to know. And then when I was going to see it in the theater, my friend was like, yeah, I like this guy's other movie, In Bruges. And I was like, shit. But I sat down, and for the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is all right. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. About 40 minutes in, I'm not interested. It's not saying anything, and it's really proud of itself, very obviously proud of itself. And I was talking to my friend who was trying to urge me to go see Three Billboards. And I was telling him these same things. Oh, Tom Waits. And he goes, oh, you know, actually, Tom Waits was his second choice. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah, he wanted Mickey Rourke, but Mickey Rourke wasn't available. So I said, wait a minute. So you're telling me
Mickey Rourke wasn't available?
Well, I was like, so what you're telling me is that this guy who made this movie, who wrote and directed this, Tom Waits was his second choice? Well, that explains it. Like, that explains, like, why I'm not interested in this guy. Like we just are in two completely different mindsets of, like, authenticity.
At least he gave him a chance. So many directors don't put Tom Waits in movies.
Sure.
So you still should give him credit on that level, that little thing at least.
I went and saw the movie.
Okay, well, I'm not saying don't throw him out over that. I know.
All I said was that explains the difference between how he and I view things. That's all I just said.
Well, you know, at the risk of sounding one note, because I know I just said this a little bit about Roman J. Israel, that it was not what it was expected. I think that's how Three Billboards is. It was not what was expected. So the trailer is not the movie. The movie is really not about her trying to find her daughter's killer. Because it's almost like a throwaway. It's just there.
I disagree with that.
No, they don't even investigate. Like that is absolutely not the point.
Is
of this
Frances
movie.
McDormand the actual main character, or is it more of an ensemble that focuses on the two cops?
Oh, it's her.
She's the main character. That said, there are a couple others who are very strongly supporting.
Gotcha.
I would say not quite main, but close enough.
That's the one thing that interests me the most about Three Billboards, just in general, is that it's Frances McDormand being, like, billed above, you know, Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell and stuff like that. And that's an exciting thing, and I think that that's something that could only happen this year, where with this wave of, like, female-driven films, both behind the camera and in front of the camera, where, like, I feel like that's the only way they could get away with it. And
well, I mean, go ahead with the point. I just want to make sure that we're not just jumping straight to the women yet, because I still want to say something about this movie. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry. What?
Hold that thought. Carl, what else do you have to say about the movie?
Well, because no, I mean, I think that this movie was a powerful. Had a lot to say. I really did. I mean, it's fine to disagree, obviously, but I want to say that I thought Harrelson and Rockwell and McDormand all gave world-class performances. I absolutely think this is going to be up. Well, you know, whether this is of value to you guys or not, I'm just saying that I believe I will make an early call that this will be up for Best Picture, Director, Writing, all three of those performances, and maybe more. I don't know. And I thought it was I thought it was an incredible movie. I mean, and as far as the humor and the violence and things like that, the violence. Okay, the premise is. I just want to make it clear to people: you do not see what happens to this girl at all. At the beginning, in flashbacks, you don't see a corpse. Nothing. It's talked about. So, as gruesome as that is, he did not exploit it in a direct sense the way many other filmmakers would, I believe. And then the other thing is because
it's not the point of the movie. They barely even talk about it.
I know, but
You're just
they barely even talk about it. She's crying throughout the movie several times.
No, it's about it is about
billboard.
So many other things
than
which
the
is a good
actual
murder and finding.
On top of that, and so no, I mean the best speech in the movie, and I'm a Catholic, and this was an anti-Catholic kind of a scene. was she gave a fantastic takedown of a Catholic priest in this movie. I don't want to give away the context, but it's awesomely written, I thought, and that was totally about like he's telling her don't put the billboards, take the billboards down, and her response and how she deals with it. I was like, wow, that's hellacious writing. I thought it was best monologue since maybe Bull Durham. The things where, which you're now going to say you hate Bull Durham.
Bull Durham's just a long time ago, Carl. There have been a lot of great monologues since Bull Durham.
To me, this is.
Have you heard the Watch monologue from Pulp Fiction? That's pretty good.
And I thought this was better than that. So
okay, I thought it was
see the movie and let me know then.
Okay, I thought it was a good moment, but the point of that monologue, the point of that scene, again, like the point of this movie, it was more about her as a mother at that point. It was not about let's go find my daughter's killer.
No, it's not meant to be a mystery. Ooh, okay, I know, but it also
and that's how it's billed.
I haven't seen the trailer because I avoid trailers because I hate how things get marketed. But I'm realizing now doing the show, I need to get back into watching the trailers more because I hated trailers because of the fact they usually give away everything, and I want to go in and judge a movie on its own terms. But now I'm realizing again, which is a major error on my part, that I got away from watching trailers so much that I'm realizing, that they're misleading people. I thought they were overleading people for a long time. That's why I stopped watching them. Like if they tell you every damn thing that happens in the movie, I hate that. And so that's why I stopped watching them if I can help it.
I think that's just how I respond to movies in general, though. I'm not really as much concerned with what happens in the movie necessarily. Like, I mean, of course I want there to be good things that happen or whatever, but I'm actually more focused on a movie's purpose and its exploration. I'm more interested in what goes on in the journey than the actual journey itself.
That's exactly I thought that's what made this movie good, is because it wasn't about directly the solving of the mystery.
Carl, I'm not saying that it's a bad movie.
But that's what that was my point, that it's not about solving of the mystery. And that's why I think in that regard you might like it. But yes, the violence part, no, you won't.
But the violence, they don't show that, and then there's only a couple scenes in the movie that are really violent.
But there's horrifically violent.
Yes,
they are like I closed my eyes violent.
Yeah, and I think that's valuable. Do you like Quentin Tarantino or not?
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. Okay,
Pulp Fiction's all right.
Okay, Pulp Fiction, movies like that. Okay, so Quentin Tarantino, the thing is when he does violence in movies, that's so... it's very... I mean, he brought this up when Pulp Fiction came out because it was so new to people what he was doing to most people. And he said, so criticize me for blowing a guy's head off and having blood all over the car. But he goes, at least there's only I think 8 people get shot in that movie versus Rambo having 8,000 or something. And he was saying, when I show violence, I will fucking show it in a very direct, powerful way so that you understand that this is a big deal.
Look, this is a totally different conversation because
this is a Tarantino kind of movie. If he did one in a small town America, this would be it. I think so.
A Tarantino kind of movie. Maybe, actually. I think I could see that with the violence because it does. It becomes very over the top. I could kind of see that, actually. That's not a bad comparison.
And it's only in a couple of scenes.
There's a difference between violence and catharsis through a violent act. Like Tarantino, like in Django Unchained, very specifically, the first when the at the very beginning when he purchases Django from the 2 slave traders, and then he releases the others, and they kill the one surviving slave trader. That squib is ludicrously large, and it's because it's about release of frustration of hundreds of years of oppression.
Sure.
That's a mastery of violence in film. But then you have something like Logan, which the violence in Logan is literally just the language of the movie. So much so that it's not shocking. So much so that it's and
putting a kid in there doing that, I thought was just the height of disgusting irresponsibility.
And part of Tarantino's violence, especially, is the wit. There's wit.
And there's wit
every
in this
time,
movie.
But every time a violent act is committed in a Tarantino movie, it is known that is a wrong act, but the source is understood. The source of frustration is understood.
Well, except when he killed Hitler, but other than that,
no, that was brilliant. Actually,
no, I'm saying that it wasn't wrong to kill Hitler. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but that whole movie, that's another.
Okay, I think that you make a really interesting point, and I hadn't quite thought of it that way. And so, with your points about Quentin Tarantino and that style of violence, then I would like to amend it. I think this is 50-50. I think that there are some over the top. That yes, I think it's a release. I agree. That's a really good way of putting it. And then I would say there are three main acts of violence that are like cringeworthy acts of violence.
Sure.
I would say two of them then, yes, I think are the Quentin Tarantino type of release, and it's an interesting point. And yeah, I could see him directing, let's say, that the second half of the movie. Then the third act of violence is not.
Okay, totally don't want to give it away, obviously, and I know you're really good about that. People, when you read her stuff or watch her stuff, she's like one of the best I've seen for never giving a spoiler. But, okay, I'm going to try and dance around this. Is the third thing you're talking about the bar?
Yes.
Okay, so the bar scene...
You've told me all about it. I understand.
I know, but no, I'm telling the listeners about something.
You're spoiling it.
No, I'm saying a character who instigates a fight because of wanting to do something that is powerfully redemptive and essential to dealing with how this goes.
Yes,
so to me,
true.
It's fine that that was extremely brutal. That was the point, and it was very powerful how somebody else responds when this person comes home. And it was like, whoa,
yes.
What a shockingly
And you told me
powerful
about
thing.
that, but what you also told me about the very end of the film negates that, in my opinion, if it is indeed
how they
you
end it.
describe
You're saying
yes, how they end it negates the point that you just made.
Sure,
if that is,
point.
but so violence in film is such an odd thing because it all just comes down again to purpose, like purpose and intent with your violence. And you talk about like movies being misled and things like that. One of my favorite examples, oddly enough, to bring it to Quentin Tarantino, is Inglourious Bastards, which literally was marketed as a group of guerrilla fighters go and fight the Nazis, right? But the movie is actually about Shoshana. Shoshana is the main character of Inglourious Bastards, and the film is actually about her revenge and how America created this propagandic view of what we did in World War II, and through the men who accomplished these things. All of her accomplishments go completely unnoticed. And she's the one who actually burns the theater down, you know what I mean? She sets it all, but she goes completely unnoticed, all for the sake of American propaganda through entertainment, which is they go to see a movie, right? And that's where it all goes. Like, that movie is so brilliantly layered and was totally marketed was actually marketed as propaganda. Like, go get them American, bunch of 9 white dudes go take down Hitler, when really it's about women and actually America not being as influential as it thought in World War II, as we've been told, and how entertainment is the source of that misdirection. And now that's mastery. That's purpose. And I trust a man who makes a movie like that. A man who makes a movie like In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, I don't see a whole lot going on there.
Okay. Well, I think we should move on to the thing on the shed. Any other points?
Well, I think that is actually a decent segue into it.
Yeah,
the fact that, in 2009, a film about a woman seeking revenge during World War II, she's not even really in the trailer. Cut to 2017, and now they do everything they can to make a woman front and center right now, and in good and bad ways. You know what I mean? It's interesting, when Wonder Woman came out this year, it was such a big deal that it was like a big franchise movie, directed by a woman, starring a woman who was non-sexualized. And it was and I remember being kind of like, well, that's all anybody's telling me about it. Like, they're not actually talking about the movie, but those things are talking about. Aeon Flux in 2005 was the exact same thing. Huge franchise blockbuster movie marketed around an Academy Award winning actress, directed by a woman, that was, made to be a franchise, and nobody paid attention to it. And to me, they're of equal quality. To me, they're of equal quality. So what's changing is the language, and I want to examine that.